Cooper Flag, I've been speaking about this guy for 3 years. Yep. 3 years, I said this guy is going to be the number 1 pick in the draft 3-4 years down the road. And he is. This guy is the white version of Kevin Durant. He is everything that Kevin Durant is. He's long, he's lengthy, he's athletic, he can shoot the three. He's not as good a three-point shooter as Kevin Durant yet, but he's going to develop that shot to be, he is a great all-around shooter. He's a great free throw shooter. I mean, his game fits the NBA style. His body is already built to play in the NBA. I think he needs to put on a little bit more muscle, but he is fit. And this guy is going to be the number 1 pick. I don't know who's going to be drafted number 1 next year. Probably Brooklyn. Detroit or maybe Brooklyn. One of those guys. Whoever gets this kid is going to have a superstar. Now, what he has said about Michael Jordan, he's not lying. Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. How does Cooper Flag know? He never had a chance to see Michael Jordan play because he's 17 years old. 17 years ago, Michael Jordan was done. He was retired. He retired from the Bullets. So he never got a chance to see Michael Jordan. All right. So for him to come out and say that Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time, I don't know how he sees it, but hey, maybe his father's telling him, maybe he's seen clips, but clips don't really show how great of a player was. I'm going to tell you this right now. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. There's no question that he isn't. Now, Kawhi Leonard, greatest defensive player of all time. He's on drugs. Okay. I don't know if he knows who Bill Russell was, but Bill Russell was pretty damn good. Okay. There were a lot of great defensive players in the past. For him to come out and say that Kawhi Leonard might be the best in this decade. He might be the best defensive player in this decade. If you want to argue that, that's true. But to say that Kawhi Leonard's the greatest defensive player of all time, ridiculous statement. I completely disagree with him. All right. So wrong about that. Gregg Popovich, the greatest coach in NBA history, not a chance. Phil Jackson is the greatest coach of all time. That's a fact.
Phil Jackson has had the best talent.
Really? Because that was pretty much the talent that they had until Phil Jackson went to Chicago. They never won a championship. They never won a championship until Phil Jackson went to the Chicago Bulls.
He's a great coach, but I mean the talent around.
Then he went to the LA, the Lakers. They had Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay,
they couldn't win.
He went to the Knicks. They couldn't win.
No, he didn't coach.
What a coach.
He didn't coach. He was an executive.
I think he coached.
No, he didn't coach.
He coached on one leg.
Yeah, right. He didn't coach.
From upstairs.
Everywhere Phil Jackson went, Phil Jackson won as a head coach. Everywhere
I'm
he
not
went.
disagreeing. But I'm saying he also had the best talent in the league practically.
Really? Because Gregg Popovich has had pretty good talent. I mean, Tim Duncan, the best power forward ever. Oh, he's terrible. How about Tony Parker, who's probably a top 10 point guard of all time? Oh, yeah, horrible. The best 6 man. Oh, definitely. Definitely a top 10 point guard of all time. You go look at what he did. First of all, winning-wise and what he has done as a point guard, because remember, at the tail end, those 2 other championships that they won, he was the best player on that team. He was the best player on that team. Even better than Kawhi Leonard, even better than Ginobili. And by the way, Ginobili was the best 6-man ever. How many 6-man awards did Manu Ginobili won? Okay.
Well, when did that award get created?
I understand that, but Manu Ginobili was the best bench player we've ever seen. And he's probably one of the first to come, a Hall of Famer to come off the bench. I mean, seriously. So
probably the only one.
Yeah, I mean, he played with he's coached a lot of great players. Let me ask you a question, Mike.
Sure.
Since those guys, how many championships has he won?
Oh, none.
How many playoff appearances has he gone since those guys have retired?
I don't even know. Probably none or one.
No, it was like 3, but it was like
2.
It was
2.
And then Kawhi Leonard got hurt, and then it was all downhill after that.
It was 2. It was 2, 2 playoff chases. And again,
so does that make him a great coach?
No. I'm not saying Gregg Popovich isn't one of the greatest of all time. I mean, Red was pretty good. I mean, he was pretty good. But I'm going to tell you, Pat Riley was pretty good. But I think
Pat Riley also had like one of the greatest Lakers teams ever assembled.
I look at what Phil Jackson did with multiple teams, multiple transitions of teams. Go look. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe, Shaq goes, and he wins with, a bunch of other guys, Metta World Peace and all the other guys.
Pau Gasol.
Pau Gasol. But at the time when Pau Gasol came to the team, everybody was like, oh, Pau Gasol's good, but he's not great. Okay. So that's what everybody used to say when he came from the Grizzlies, which a bunch of crock of crap. But so I'm just saying, in my opinion, he wants to say Gregg Popovich. That's fine. The greatest coach of all time is Phil Jackson. Until you can prove otherwise, he's the greatest coach of all time. He's won the most. And to me, if you look at the championships and as a player, he won 2 championships with the Knicks. So how many championships does he have? 13, 12? I mean, the guy is a winner.